Welcome to this interview with Mark Devlin. I am Flo May. I'm just starting this channel, and my topic is a positive focal point for the truth movement. I'm going to be asking Mark Devlin about how to get started as a presenter and a speaker, because I'm just getting started, but maybe you are also thinking about that you have something to say and you would like to have people be able to hear it. So I thought, if I'm learning this, why don't I share this with you? So if you want to find me, you can go to YouTube, Solution, Solution, and the topic is mostly also Robert Monroe's book, chapter 15, where he describes a situation for our planet, which I think is a rather good design. So I was thinking to make this topic known. And but first of all, yes, let's ask Mark. Welcome.
Yeah, hello Flo, good to be with you.
So we are here at Liverpool, and the nature is rather gorgeous, and we are just popped out to have this interview. Mark, for people who don't know you, what is your topic and your website?
So I talk about the true nature of the controlled corporate music industry and the real agendas for which it's used, because a lot of people think music is just about fun and entertainment. That's the way it's presented to us, but the truth of the matter is that there are some very dark agendas running behind the scenes. So music is used for mass mind control, social engineering, and coercing people into certain thought patterns and value systems and behaviors. And so my work is all about exposing the techniques and the tactics and the methods that are used. And I've been doing that for the best part of 20 years now, through books, through podcasts, videos, and live talks and presentations. So that's what I get into. I do expand into some other subjects sometimes. I talk more about the weaponization of psychology and how mind control really works. And I talk about things like MK Ultra mind control coming out of the CIA and the Tavistock Institute in London, which is the main social engineering think tank, which gets exported around the world. So those are some ancillary subjects, but ultimately they're all connected. And I'm a former radio and club DJ and music journalist. I used to do that full time, and that being my background, when I first came to realize that the world is not quite the way it is presented to us, I really wanted to better comprehend how that plays out into the music industry. So that became my specialist area of interest, and I now do it full time. My main website is djmarkdevlin.com, and that's a hub which has connections to all my other sites, my video channels, and my music shows and such.
Great, thanks a lot for that introduction. So I would like to start at the beginning. You're now a speaker, but you were not at some point. So what happened? What got you into speaking, and did you run into any personal challenges to make the next step, and how did you go through those?
Well, my situation is probably different to that of most other people, because I had been a DJ. So I was used to doing radio shows, I was used to compiling interviews and speaking to people, having conversations. So it was a case of transitioning everything that I'd learned into this new arena of information. So I learnt about being effective in presentations from watching the work of David Icke. So David Icke was very instrumental on me in my early years. I read his books and I attended many of his lectures, and I realized that there was an opportunity for me to kind of step into the arena and do what he was doing, but with my specialist niche subject. So I'm not really an all-rounder like he is. I just want to focus on the music industry and entertainment and popular culture. So he was a big inspiration. I studied many of the techniques that he used when he was giving presentations and how he engaged the audience. And I like the way that he used slides. He had a lot of visuals. If you go to one of his 8-hour shows, there's hundreds and hundreds of visuals, and he would just be whizzing through them, you know, constantly just progressing through to the next image. And I do a lot of that because I think it really brings the story to life when you've got visuals. And I also include audio snippets and little video clips just to help explain the points I'm trying to get across. And he was also an inspiration in terms of getting books published, because he used to churn out a prodigious amount of books, and I figured that I could do that as well. I knew I could write, so I thought it's a great opportunity to encapsulate all this information in the form of books, because books can live, you know, potentially way beyond you, way beyond you're gone from this place. 100 years from then, books can still be getting read. So I thought it's a great way of preserving information and just making a repository of it. And so he was an inspiration. Also Mark Passio of whatonearthishappening.com. I've been to some of his live talks, and he really engages an audience well. And I like the fact that he wastes no words, so every word counts. And I try and do that in my presentations. Very important not to waffle, very important not to have too many ums and ers. You've got to really think about what you want to say, have your next sentence already formulated in your mind before it comes out of your lips. And I try and do that in my talks as well. Just really make every word count and make it very impactful. So those two were a big influence on me, and they've coloured the way I present my work now.
Yeah, great. Thank you. There were some real pointers there that I'm definitely going to use, like yeah, make every word count, because then you really appreciate the time of your audience and give them high information density. So for me, I am now shooting this on my iPhone, and you are almost known as the man with the microphone. And I feel that it's important, if you're trying to say something, that you are at least audible. And some people online, they have really important things to say, and their sound quality is just so bad. I listen to it on my headphones and I just cannot listen to it because it's just really hurting my ears. So I would like to know everything you know about microphones. How do you select a microphone? How do you watch for technical properties? Which properties are important? How do you shop? Which brands do you recommend, or a certain type perhaps? So what can you tell us about that?
I've always said that I'm probably the world's least technical DJ. So if you ever want technical advice at an event and there's some sort of sound issue that needs sorting out, I'm not really the best guy to do it, because I do lack a lot of technical knowledge. I just know how I've made my methods work for me. So everything I do, I'm happy with those ways of working. They probably wouldn't work for everyone, so I can only really tell you what I've done for myself. But the reason I'm always seen gripping a mic in my hand is because it's a DJ thing. I was used to being in clubs, and I would often speak on the mic at clubs and, you know, shout over the records, and I'd have this mic gripped in my hand and close to my mouth. And I used to do interviews as well. I worked in radio. I used to do roving reporter interviews where I'd be walking around with a mic. So I'm just very used to having a microphone in my hand. A lot of people prefer to have it in a stand, and that probably is the best way of doing it. Just have a microphone stand in front of you, then your hands are free. I don't really know what to do with my hands if I'm not gripping a mic. And this hand is redundant. I sort of wave it around and it's not really doing anything. So that's just a personal preference for me. And I've been using the mic that I've used in clubs for decades for my podcasts. And it's a Shure SM58 mic. And that's pretty much the industry standard when it comes to vocalists. So when you see singers in bands, 9 times out of 10, they're going to be using a Shure SM58 mic. It's very reliable. That's the reason it's become the industry standard. I have a pop shield on mine, which is a foam covering. And that stops, you know, the letter P and you know, these strong sort of words where you get a bit of wind. It's like a windshield, and it just softens some of those sounds, and it's just more pleasant for the listener not to have those pop, pop, pop sounds. So that's the mic I plug into my laptop, and when I'm doing solo monologues, I just talk into the mic, and when I'm doing interviews, at my end of the interview, I'm asking my questions on this Shure mic and then putting it over to the interviewee. So I've been using this mic for everything. I use it in clubs, I use it for videos, I use it for interviews, and that's just a personal preference. So when I plug it into my laptop, I've got a Behringer box. It's like an EQ box, and you plug the mic in with an XLR cable, and then there's a few settings on it, and it basically EQs the audio. It regulates and balances everything out. So instead of having very high top end, it kind of compresses it a bit, and it just makes everything feel a bit more warm and more listenable. When you plug the mic in directly, you get a lot of variation in the levels. And one thing I've noticed is when I start to speak, when I first ask a question or first come with a response, it's very loud. I come in very loud. And then as I progress, I become a lot softer and quieter. So when you look at the sound wave of the recording, to start with, it's very, very dense, and then it kind of evens out. Whereas this box that I use kind of regulates things. And there are also plugins you can get which level the audio even further. So they basically compress the audio file. So when you look at it on the sound waves, it's just very consistent.
What are they called, or how could they be found, those plugins?
I don't know what the specific plugins are, but when you use a software program like Audacity, which I use, you have a leveler control on there. So when you go into the menu, you can select leveler, and that regulates the levels for you. So I record everything in Audacity, which is a free, for the most part, software. I've been using it for years, and it's very good for recording straight audio if you're just doing voices. It's good for music as well, but I definitely recommend Audacity. I use an Apple Mac, always have, and Audacity is specially formulated for Macs. It works on PCs as well. So Audacity is the main tool for editing audio. And then when it comes to video, I use QuickTime. So I record in QuickTime, and I can do basic edits in QuickTime. So if I want to top and tail a video, you want to chop the first bit out and finish it before the rambling stuff at the end, I can do basic edits. You just chop the file down. And then on top of that, I also use iMovie in Apple Mac. So I can pull a QuickTime video into iMovie, and then you can split it into segments. And often, if I'm doing a monologue, I might speak for what in total is like an hour and a half. But I don't necessarily do it all in one take, because sometimes you screw up. Sometimes you forget what you're going to say, or you get something wrong, so you want to chop it up. So I often end up with 4 or 5 different segments, which I then pull into iMovie, and then you can put them in order, pull them into the master file section, and export the whole video. And then it links those videos together so that it's seamless and it's continuous. So those are the techniques that work for me. They're very basic. I mean, other podcasters will be able to give you much more technical information. But for me, the key tools are Audacity for audio, QuickTime and iMovie for editing video, and that Shure SM58 mic for the mic work. It's a very reliable mic. You can get USB plug-in mics, which go straight into the laptop. You don't need that EQ box. I've never been able to make those work for me. I've tried a couple. I listen to certain podcasters. I listen to Dom of Sheep Farm Studios, Dom Waterson, and I love the way his mic sounds. It sounds very warm and very consistent. And I tried the very mic that he uses for me, and I didn't like the results, because it just didn't seem to get on with my voice, because people's voices are different, their cadence, their tone is different, and so different mics work for them. And my listeners were saying to me, oh, well, the mic you've always used sounds great, don't change it, because I thought I could make the quality better, but it turns out the one that I've been using all along is the best one for my voice. So I've just continued with that. But somebody else might find they get on more with a USB plug-in mic, which has inbuilt compression. So it is a case of trying out different mics. The professional ones, the studio quality ones, are very expensive, hundreds of pounds. So if you're after a cheaper option, the Shure is, I don't know, best part of 100 quid probably. You can get some second-hand ones on eBay, and that's probably a good way to start for many people.
Great, thanks. Really some great info again. I'm gonna try and research all of those things, and I just have to say, it's for you, it's done, but for a real beginner, this is absolute information that I cannot find online. It's much better experience based. So I'm wondering also, are you doing anything to make yourself known, or are you just floating with whatever you have built already? Did you do some work to market yourself in the beginning? So what do you do on that subject?
Yeah, so the most important thing is getting out your information in any ways that you can. So you want to be on as many platforms as possible. If you're comfortable with going public and having your face on screen and using your name, and people really should, because there's a lot of information that needs to get out there, it needs to be widespread, and more people need to be stepping up and doing podcasts and stuff. The most important thing is just getting started. You know, the best advice in terms of doing podcasts, doing videos, is just get started, actually do it. Because I get a lot of people sending me emails. So they do email newsletters, mail outs, and they say, oh, I found this video and I've got this insight into this and this opinion on things. And they just leave it there. They leave it in the form of an email, which is going to go to 40 people. And I often email these people back and I say, you need to be putting this stuff in a podcast, because a lot of what you're saying is gold and people need to hear this. And they're like, oh no, I couldn't be on video and I hate the sound of my voice. And you know, you need to overcome that if you really want to be impactful with your information. So the most important thing, the best advice I can give is just do it. You might get nervous before your first video or your first podcast, but chances are when you've done the first one and you've got it in the bag, you're going to be plain sailing from there. It was like that for me with my first public talk. I was nervous as hell. I was shitting myself for days before I did it, but 20 minutes into it, I was free flowing, everything was fine, and I've never got nervous since. It's just getting that first one out of the way, overcoming that first hurdle. And so when you do, you want to be on as many platforms as possible. So I put my stuff out on YouTube. I'm on my 5th YouTube channel. I've had 4 taken down because they didn't like the stuff I was saying. And after the 3rd one, I did think to myself, you know, screw YouTube, can't be arsed with them. They're jokers, they're clowns. But the truth of the matter is, most people get their video information from YouTube. And if you want to be having an impact and reaching large numbers of people, unfortunately, you need to be on YouTube. It's like Amazon with books. I write books. Amazon are a horrible company. A lot of people don't like them, but they're a necessary evil if you want to be getting books out there, because they are the #1 platform. And if you want to shift units and get the information out, you've got to use Amazon, you've got to use YouTube. If they take you down, come back with another channel. I've done it 5 times. I was on BitChute. BitChute has voluntarily taken itself down in the UK. It's no longer operational, so that's gone. But I'm on Odyssey. Odyssey is a great video platform because it enables you to download videos. It's the only major one where you can go to a video and instantly grab a download. With things like Rumble and YouTube, you have to paste the link into an external program. I use any video converter. So you paste the URL to a YouTube. It works on audio sites as well, like Mixcloud and SoundCloud. You paste the URL into any video converter, and then you can download an MP4 of it. But Odyssey enables you to download direct. Rumble is a site you've got to be on. Rumble is very popular. So those are the video channels. In terms of my audio work, I use Mixcloud. So I've got my Sound of Freedom conscious music show, and Mixcloud is the platform for that. So Mixcloud enables you to upload music There's no copyright problems. So with YouTube, if you try and upload a video with recognizable music in it, it will take it down on copyright grounds. Rumble doesn't seem to have any such problems, or Odyssey. You seem to be able to upload music to those two channels with no problems. But Mixcloud is specifically for audio files, and it's for shows and podcasts. So you can't upload individual tracks. If you're a musician and you've got a 4-minute song and you try and upload it to Mixcloud, it will take it down, because I think their minimum is 15 minutes because it's supposed to be for shows. Whereas SoundCloud is the opposite. That's for musicians, producers to upload single tracks. And if you try and upload a mix to SoundCloud, it will probably take it down because it's not meant for that. So those are important platforms to be on for audio. I also use Spreaker for my audio podcasts. And Spreaker has an RSS feed function where it syndicates the output to other audio outlets like Apple Music and Podbean and many of these other podcasting applications. So you can set yourself up on Spreaker and just configure the RSS feed, and then it takes your output to all these other channels. And whenever I do a video with visuals, I create an audio version of it to put on Spreaker, and it just increases the opportunity for that audio to be heard. I don't like doing video, as I was saying to you, I don't particularly like being on camera, but you have to be these days. People expect you to be in camera. They want something to look at. A lot of people spend their days watching YouTube videos and they don't really want a single graphic with just the audio. They want to see the people speaking. So you kind of have to overcome your fear of being on camera if you want to make an impact. And that's what it comes down to. Do you really want to make an impact? Do you really want to put information out into the world that's going to enrich and empower other people's lives? If you do, you've got to overcome a few hurdles and you've got to learn how to get yourself up on these platforms. It's not particularly difficult. I can do it. I'm not a technical guy, but I've been able to master these things. And it becomes second nature after a while. I produce a video, instantly it goes on YouTube, Rumble, Odyssey, the audio goes on Spreaker, and then I promote it on social media platforms. So I've got a Facebook, I've got X, Twitter, so I put the link up on there. I use Instagram. Instagram is for graphics, still graphics. So I just create a graphic for the video I've just produced, put that on Instagram, and then put the link in there and say, new show, now up, here's what it's all about, click here. And then the other one is TikTok, which I hate because TikTok is basically for kids and it's mainly full of just garbage and nonsense. But a lot of people go on TikTok. It's like YouTube, it's like a necessary evil. So TikTok is another platform that you have to consider going on just purely to reach large numbers of people. And there's a function you can use in conjunction with TikTok called Clip Cut. And that's where if you've got a master video file, you can plug it into this software program called Clip Cut, and it uses AI. I know AI is horrible, but we may as well make it work for us rather than against us. And the AI goes through the video and it scans the audio and it works out for itself what the themes are that are being discussed in that video, and then it creates little snippets. So it will take an hour-long video and create maybe 4 or 5 little snippets which are ideal for TikTok, because TikTok is for low attention spans. TikTok is, quick fire, bang, 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 on to the next one. And so it will create little 30-second clips, and it gives the subtitles as well. So you can even watch it with the audio down and just follow along with what's being said in the video. So again, that's a very useful tool. Not a fan of TikTok, I'm not a fan of AI, but if we can make it work for us, we may as well.
And do you do all of the editing yourself, or do you hire somebody for that?
I do have somebody that helps me out with Clip Cut because I'm very busy and it does take a lot of time. If you're going to be using all these platforms, it is very time consuming. So I upload to all the video channels myself and I edit all, the basic editing of my videos myself. But when it comes to the Clip Cut, I've got a friend who does that for me. So I just say to her, new video up, can you please chop it up and stick it on TikTok? And she does that for me. So very kindly, she helps me out. and I've got a few other people that help me out with the odd task. I've got a webmaster, so a guy in America very kindly built a website for me, complimentary, and I've got a guy in the UK who updates my website. So every now and again I'll say, can you just add this new information, and he does that for me. So you find if you're making an impact and people appreciate the information you're putting out, you get these offers of help, and often people are only too happy to help. So if they've got skills like they know how to chop up a video for TikTok, then you can utilize their input, and it just helps the whole process of getting the information out.
Excellent, thank you. My following subject would be on the matter of money. If you're not following the agenda, then generally you're not being paid a whole lot. So yeah, have you been, what have your challenges been with money, and how are you dealing with the whole subject in your presenting?
Right, so what I do now is my full-time job. It's replaced all my previous jobs. I don't do anything else other than write books and do video content and do public talks. So if you are in that situation, you obviously need to support yourself financially in order to continue. A lot of people criticize you for monetizing your channels or asking for payment for your content. And I wonder what these people want you to do. They must want you to be living in a soggy cardboard box in a shop doorway somewhere with no internet connection, no laptop, no means of producing content. If you're going to be producing content, you're going to have costs to cover. And if people appreciate and find value in your information, usually they're only too happy to support you in those endeavors. So a lot of people are very kind enough to make donations, voluntary donations. But when it comes to things like publishing books, I can't afford to put books out for free. It costs me to produce books, and so I have to recoup those costs and then make something on top of that so that I can simply continue living and continue producing content. So I do get income from my books, and I do pretty well from those. But when it comes to online content, there are some options available to people. So you can monetize your YouTube channel. It used to be the case that you had to have 10,000 subscribers before YouTube would accept you for their AdSense monetization program. I think they've dropped that to 1,000 now. So I believe you've just got to get 1,000 subs and then you can start to monetize. But the problem is, if you're putting out information of a nature that YouTube doesn't approve of, if you're challenging the mainstream narrative on things, there's a very strong chance you're going to get taken down. They're going to simply delete your channel. They're supposed to give you 3 strikes, 3 warnings, and then you're out. But they've been getting very blatant with it recently. My last channel, they just deleted it straight. No warning, not even an email to tell me they'd done it. They just took the channel down. So that's what can happen to you if you're putting out content that they don't approve of. So I did monetize my first YouTube channel for a while during the COVID situation, and I was getting some money off the back of ads, and people complain about that. They say, oh, you shouldn't be taking money from these corporations, they're evil and all this, but how else do they expect you to live, really? I don't want to be working in McDonald's to subsidize myself. I would rather just be able to make a living out of doing what I find some passion in. So that YouTube channel went, and I had to consider other ways of replacing that lost income. So I started a Patreon channel, and there are various alternatives to Patreon, which is where you can have supporters who pay a subscription each month to have exclusive content. But the one I settled on was Patreon. It's the best known, and it's worked really well for me. I get on very well with Patreon. So I post videos on my channel there, which I don't post anywhere else. I do put up a lot of content for free on YouTube and Rumble and Odyssey, but it seems it's never enough for people. No matter how much free content you put out, the minute you start inviting people to support you with exclusive content, they start moaning. oh, the truth should be free, you shouldn't be charging for it. But these criticisms always come from people who are doing precisely nothing. You've never heard of them. And often when they complain to you on email or on a chat thread or something, it's under a login name. So they've not even had the balls to go out there using their own name. They just want to bitch and moan about people that are doing the work. You should do it this way, you should do it that way. How about you get started and you do something yourself under your name? That would make a difference, wouldn't it? So these people complain about you having a Patreon and all the rest of it, but the supporters you get on Patreon are there voluntarily. Nobody's forced them. Nobody's made them go on that channel and subscribe to you each month. They're there because they find value in your work and they're happy to support it. If they weren't happy to support it, they wouldn't be on the Patreon. So those people are there because they want to be, and they find value in the work, and they're happy to support me because they want to see the work continue. And that situation has worked really well for me. So Patreon is a big part of what I do. It does help fund my activities and just helps me to keep living on a day-to-day basis. So Patreon is definitely one to consider if you've got information, if you've got to a stage where you've built up some sort of supporter base. I don't want to call them fans, but you know, followers, whatever, viewers. And people are familiar with your material, they're probably going to be only too happy to support you through something like Patreon, because they choose to do that, and they want the value that comes from further information from you.
Excellent, thanks. So much information that I can certainly use.
Hope it's helpful.
Yeah. So my last question is actually about fans. So I noticed when I was on Acapulco that I can talk to everybody very easily, but then some of the presenters were rather shut down, as if they were like they had been violated in some way or something. Right. So I thought, oh, this is a topic, kind of. And then also there is this thing of the fans of being a little starstruck and like not being fully relaxed, you know, when you just meet somebody who's a presenter. So what have you experienced in this area, or what are your views? How do you deal with it? Is it an issue? Is it totally not an issue for you? So yeah, I'm curious about that.
Well, I've been doing this a very long time, so it's the best part of 20 years basically. So I've had a long time for people to get used to who I am. I do a lot of talks. Every weekend I'm at some conference or festival or meetup group doing presentations, sometimes DJ sets. So I very much put myself out there, and people know who I am and they recognise me. And it's a bit weird for me because I can come to an event like this, Liverpoolco, or conferences of a similar nature, and I get recognised because people see me on video, so they know what I look like. Yeah. And they hear me doing podcasts and stuff. And it's a bit weird because I'll be walking through the grounds trying to get to the presenters area or something, and people are recognising me and they're looking me up and down really funny. And I'm conscious of these looks. Yeah. And funny looks. Yeah, and it's a bit unnerving, and they don't mean any harm by it. They're just like, oh yeah, there's that guy from the video. Wow, there he is. And it kind of makes me feel a bit strange. And another problem for me is just how long it takes me to get from one side of a room to another at a conference, because again, people recognize you and they're like, oh Mark, let me ask you this. I saw your latest video. I just want to see what you think about this, and I want to recommend this video to you, and have you seen this guy's work? And I do always engage in conversations with people because I think you owe them the courtesy of that. You need to be approachable. People aren't going to appreciate it if you're aloof and offhand and you don't want to engage with them. So it's a big part of being impactful in this sort of arena. It's just engaging with people in conversation, in discourse. And I enjoy that, you know, I enjoy being social with people at these events, but it can be very time consuming. So it literally takes me half an hour sometimes just to get to the toilet, which is there because I get stopped so many times. But I have the conversations. Okay. And the other thing is I get a lot of emails.
Yeah.
many thousands of emails a month. And since I started this work, I've answered every email I've ever received, because I think you owe people the courtesy of that. I was raised with some very old school values by my dad, and he used to say, treat people in a way you would wish to be treated yourself. Or the flip side of that is, do not treat people in a way you would not wish to be treated yourself. I would not like to email a favourite author or presenter and ask a question and not get an answer. I would not like to see a favourite author or researcher at a conference and try and speak to them and they brush me off and don't want to engage with me. I wouldn't want that. So I turn that around and I think, well, that's what people want from me. They expect a response. They would like me to stop and have a quick chat with them. So that's what I do. And I think most researchers and presenters in this field are like that. They'll take the time to have a quick chat with people. You know, if it's a residential conference, sit down and have a bite to eat with them, have a beer in the evening, a coffee, have a chat, you know. People appreciate that. They like to see that you're approachable. They can see that you're basically just a regular dude or a regular woman, just like them. And we share so many things in common. And it's just great to be able to have a conversation with people whose work you've maybe admired. So, as I say, I don't like to refer to these people as fans, but it's actually very flattering and ingratiating, the fact that they find so much value in your work that they want to have those conversations with you. So I always take the time to engage with them in that way. I think it's an important part of the process.
So excellent. Well, I've learned so much. I'm very grateful and actually very honored that you would give me the interview.
No worries.
Yeah, so again, we can find you on Mark Devlin, what was it, .com?
Yes.
DJ, Mark
DJ,
Devlin,
yeah,
DJ.com.
DJmarkdevlin.com is the
Yes.
main hub website.
Yeah.
And from there, there's links through to the various video channels and my audio platforms and everything really. So DJmarkdevlin.com is the main one-stop shop. And my books are on Amazon because they have to be.
Yeah.
So you can find them all on there.
Great. Okay, we'll look for it. Look for Mark's work, and also come back for my future videos on positive focal point for the truth movement. You can join the community on skool.com, skool.com/solution with the word loosh in it, SOLOOSHION. So till next time, bye bye.